Oh, but I'm going to tell you anyway. That's because I make it that way. When I get up in the morning, I already decide it's going to be a groovy day. And then if anything else happens during the day, I always just think back that I started out with a groovy day and it's going to be groovy the rest of the day, no matter what. So that's what I do. As always, we are here live with Life Mastery Radio with Todd and Jackie. Of course, I'm Todd, and that's Jackie. Hi, Jackie.
Hello.
Before we get started, I always like to get myself centered and situated and ready for a really cool show. We have some really great content for you today that you're just going to enjoy. But let's just take a minute and think about what it is that we tap into to get power. Could be spirit, God, Allah, the universe, the tree, whatever it is. What is it that you tap into to get your power? Think about that, focus on it, and let's take in a deep breath all the way down past our heart center, down into the solar plexus. And let that breath out with just a big ah, and let that essence flow. Let those thoughts flow right out of your speaker box and out into the universe. Let's do that one more time. And this time, think about those dreams, visions, and goals. What is it that you aspire to be, do, or have? Anchor those, take in a deep breath. And let that breath out with another ah. And let those dreams, vision, goals flow up through your heart center, throat chakra, out of the speaker box and out to the universe. And think about this. Provide the universe with the opportunity to make those come true for you. Head up, tail from between your legs, thinking it's a groovy day, and things will happen. I promise you. How's that, Jackie? Look at that big smile.
It's
I got
a groovy day. It's a groovy day.
Oh my goodness, we haven't done a live show for almost I think it's 4 weeks. 3 or 4.
We've missed 3 weeks, so it's been a month since we've been together.
Yeah. I've been missing you.
I know, it's weird. It's
every
like the whole
Tuesday.
month is gone. And you added a new family member.
I do. He's sleeping.
Is he sleeping?
Yep. I got a new little puppy and he is a handful, but he's cute as a button. And my cats have revolted on me a little bit, but I think they'll get over it pretty soon. But he's pretty cool. And yeah, I'm really digging it.
And he's a fox terrier, you say?
Miniature fox terrier.
Miniature fox terrier.
And I named him Rook.
Now, where did the name Rook come from?
Chess piece.
Okay.
A friend of mine has a dog named Bishop. And I always thought, oh, that's a cool name. I really like that. And then I thought about it and wow, Rook would be a cool name too. So
yeah, cute.
Kind of short for rookie.
Rookie, yeah.
Rook.
Yeah, that's very.
But
cute.
we're digging it. I've had him a couple days now, and yeah, we're getting attached.
How's the housebreaking going? That's the tough part.
He was pretty much he knows. He just lets me know, and I take him outside, and he does his business. So.
Wow,
nice. Few accidents here and there, but he's just pretty smart little dude. I'm pretty impressed.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, good. That's pretty cool.
That's half the battle right there. It's just you gotta focus on that for the first month or so you have him, and then after that it's a little bit smoother sailing.
How are things at the Little Schoolhouse?
We're good. We're in the throes of our summer workshops, and so far we have done a persuasive speaking workshop and we've done a conversational speaking workshop. Today, or this week, is our improvisational speaking workshop, and so it's just fun. We just play lots of games together. There's no homework assignments, which the students love. And we just play a lot of fun games and get comfortable with communication and learn the 5 rules of improv. And rule number 1 is don't deny anything. So accept the scene you're given or accept the question you're given. It's always a yes. You add to it, create stories together, make your partner look good. All of that's really good lessons in leadership and communication. So
and these are young kids, and they're learning these skills and how to. And they don't teach that stuff in school.
No, that's some of the things they're teaching in school you wonder about. Kind of makes me scratch my head. But communication skills are not one of them, and
I
they should
know.
be.
And it's so powerful. I mean, what kind of testimonies are you getting? I've seen a couple on Facebook, but are parents speaking up or
Absolutely. And the best testimonials I get is when my students say, I made 2 new friends this week simply by doing what you suggested I do.
suggested?
I'm like, well, there's nothing better than that, because making friends is so important, especially for youth. But keeping those friendships and learning how to make professional type relationships and lifelong relationships with that special someone. I mean, those are all important, and we've got to be teaching our kids how to do that a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
In comes Jackie. Da, 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 da. She has the solution. So check her out at speakfeedlead.org, or you can find Jackie at JackieBaileySpeaks.com.
yep, you got
Pretty
it.
cool. What else do we have cooking? You can check out our website at www.lifemasteryradio.net or .com. Today's show page is there. We need to adjust it a little bit. We had a little bit of a snafu, but we'll get Jonathan up there for today. But you can see all of our past shows. Jackie writes a blog post about each show. The links to iTunes and iHeart are right there. Of course, my book is there and Jackie's book is there. You can follow the links to Amazon and check those out. They're really cool books, make really cool gifts, and sign up for our newsletter. Jackie creates a newsletter once a week that highlights who's been on the show and who's coming on the show. And it's pretty cool. And her blog post, it has what she thought of the show, what she got from it. And I'm always amazed at her viewpoint. So it's pretty cool. Okay.
And we had some great replays the last 3 weeks, but it's nice to get back to live shows.
Yeah, I totally agree. And we have a really cool guest on today. Are you ready for the show? What else am I forgetting? I'm a little rusty. It's been a little
Well,
while.
you might want to tell them you can sign up for the newsletter really easily. Take out your smartphone, which is always right next to you if you're like me, and put Life Mastery Radio into 22828. So just dial 22828, put Life Mastery Radio in the comment, send that off, and you'll get an immediate text back, and it will ask you for your name and email address. Then automatically you're signed up for the newsletter, and it's
Cool.
that easy.
It's easy.
Yeah.
Okay. What am I forgetting? Oh, our guest. You ready for our guest?
I'm ready. This is going to be a great show.
Our guest today is Jonathan Goldman. And the great sages for millennia have taught that the answers to healing, spiritual evolution, elevation of consciousness, and living a happy, fulfilled life, where are those things at? Well, they're inside of us. But where exactly are they? And how do you work with them? Our guest today, Jonathan Goldman, can answer those questions for you. In his 4 decades of working with energy medicine, first as an acupuncturist, and then as the developer of transformational energy healing. He has mapped the multi-layered human energy vehicle, or HEV as it's known. Jonathan has uniquely described where and how thought forms, emotions, energetic material, beliefs, and spiritual qualities live and operate in the multiple energy layers that are within and around the human body. This has allowed him to create a form of healing which goes beyond and enhances psychotherapy, allopathic medicine, and alternative healing modalities. He's written a really cool book, and I have yet to get all the way through it because I'm so enthralled in it. But the name of the book is The Gift of the Body, a multi-dimensional guide to energy and anatomy,
Anatomy.
grounded, spiritual, and living through the heart. Oh my gosh, my eyes are quitting on me now too. Welcome to the show, Jonathan. How are you today?
Hey, Jonathan.
I'm great. Really happy to be with both of you. I'm learning a lot already just listening to you.
How much we goof up, and don't worry about it. That's the Toastmasters in us.
A live show. It's real, people.
Exactly. Well, look, every mistake we make, we get to learn about forgiveness, right?
That's
Right.
right.
And we learned just how unimportant that really was, because we're just showing how human we are.
That's right. Yeah.
So Jonathan, right out of the gate, what does it mean? What does grounded spirituality mean? What is that all about? Can you define that for us?
But we live in this culture that I grew up in, that you guys grew up in. We separate things out, right? We have our life, and then we have our spiritual life. So I go to church on Sunday. When I grew up Jewish, went to temple on Saturday, and the rest of the week you just do what everybody does, right? So then what happens is many people get frustrated with those institutions. So the majority of people in the United States now consider themselves to be not affiliated with any religion. Many people would call themselves spiritual but not religious, and there's a huge amount of confusion.
Mm.
From my point of view, here's what I discovered through my own inner process that took me to many places, particularly to the mountains of Brazil and the jungles of Brazil, is that spirituality is not something different than me. It's in me. Spirituality is just the deeper dimensions of life. It's not separate from, doing my job, raising my family, doing what I do to make money. It's part of who I am. And so when I prayed super sincerely to heal the splits in me that I was manifesting in my life, right? I had my spiritual life, and I had my work life, and I had my family, and I had my taking care of myself, and I was all split up into pieces. When I realized, I'm split up inside me because I grew up in this culture and separated all these parts out. Then I went through a very intense process of integrating all of those parts of me, which is an accurate representation of who I am. Mm. And I realized that my spirituality is just part of who I am. That's what I mean by grounded spirituality. It's not about, we can have all these woo-woo things, and we can have all these concepts, and we can have all these debates about what is the nature of this and that. But in fact, I am, you are, we all are multi-dimensional creatures, if you want to say, that exist in many levels at the same time. That's what I mean by grounded spirituality. It doesn't have to have fancy concepts. For me, spirituality is very simple. You started it out. Breathe, open yourself to who you are and what is inside you, and pay attention.
So then why do we get so confused? Why do we make this so complex? And is it true that sometimes some people have better ability to tap into that spirituality than others?
I wouldn't say, well, you asked two questions. I think the first part is, why do we get so confused? Because we like to entertain ourselves. And I think we are fascinated by stories, right? An aspect of the human mind is to create stories, and we create stories, which is a fantastic thing, right? I write stories, I read stories. The problem is when we confuse the stories with reality, right? And we get confused. We see this around us today. People, all these incredible theories and ideas. Okay, there are theories and ideas. There's lots of theories and ideas, but what's true? What's true is here for me in the heart. Right?
It's interesting that you say that, because the news,
you're breaking up a little bit, Todd,
is very good. Oh, go Jack.
Yeah, you're breaking up just a tiny bit.
Go ahead, Jackie.
Okay, so Jonathan, give me an example. Give us an example of what you mean by what you just said about that we're looking for the story and the story confuses us. Is there an example you can share about what you mean by that?
Okay, so for me, what is most true is vibration, sensation, right? So when I do what Todd guided us to do at the beginning, I breathe in my heart, I open myself, I drop my awareness from here, where it usually lives in this 1-inch band, this ticker tape of thought, blah, 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 blah. Consciously, I bring myself into this sensation here. The sensation, then I expand, I relax, my thoughts calm, and I start feeling all kinds of things, all kinds of what I call nuances of vibration. For me, that's the simple truth. Then, so we can have a conversation, I can give thought to it, I can give concept to it, right? So I can say then, as answering your question, oh, that's the space of my heart. What do I know about my heart? I know that my heart has all these different layers. This is what I write about in my book, has these different layers of energy. Each one has its own characteristics. So the deepest part of the heart, the deepest place in my heart, I know this because I did the work to do it. The deepest place in my heart is humility. Oh, so then I say, oh, that must be what I'm feeling. I'm saying humility. Then if you're feeling the same thing, we can have a conversation about it. But that's still, in a way, it's a story, because really what it is you and I are sitting in a vibration together, and we're just sitting in a space, and we are just connecting through the heart, which is universal.
Yeah.
Right? So then I can say, so for instance, okay, somebody gave a review of my book last week. It's great. I like reading reviews. The woman writes and she says, I read this book because my daughter loved it. She said, but I don't love it because I am a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Didn't have anything to do with what the book was about.
Right, right.
Because at the beginning, I talk about what it's like to be on the other side and how we are before. And I'm sure she read the first 5 pages and she was like, nope, that doesn't, that absolutely does not fit into my ideology. And I'm not going to threaten these ideas I have by reading something else. I thought it was a great review. I liked it.
Yeah. Well, and I will put a little bit of context to that too, Jonathan, and because I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I loved the beginning of your book. In fact,
there you go.
I couldn't stop putting it, because to me, it did not contradict any belief that I have. It actually put more depth and layers to what I already believe is true.
Well, that's great. So I actually, I like your review better.
Yeah, you can take my review. and actually, that was one of the comments I wanted to make to you, or ask you a little bit about, is your concept of why we are here. That you clearly feel, based on what I read, that there's a purpose for us to be here. And it's not unlike what I thought our purpose was. So what could you tell our audience about what you surmised is our purpose for being here?
You know, I was having a conversation many years ago with a friend of mine from Brazil, and a person who I had met there. And he looked at me out of nowhere and he says, you know, the incredible thing about this planet? I said, no. To tell me, you know, I've learned this about people. When people ask you that question, they don't actually want you to answer it. They want to tell you what they.
Right.
I said, no. He said, this planet has every level of experience on it, from the lowest, right, from a protozoa to the highest levels of spiritual vibration. He said, that's why so many beings want to come here. Because it's in a way, in one package, can have all these levels of experience. So my understanding is this is a soul school. This planet and this world we've created is a soul school, because, you know, I didn't even know if time means anything in this level, but long time ago, when souls were born out of stars, we collectively made up a story that we wanted to learn. We wanted to learn what it meant to be individualized. Like, what is a me? What is this me thing? So the journey is, we come here, and, you know, I don't know what your belief system is, but my memory is I've been here many, many times, in many guises, in many forms. And each time I have a curriculum. And my job is in this particular life is to check off the boxes. Okay, I've learned this. I've learned this. I've learned this. And I'm making my way through, interestingly, the chakras in different, and this is an answer to your previous question. In each life, the concentration of that curriculum for each person is centered in one chakra. For many people, for instance, who come to spiritual life, we are living a heart life. Heart, not hard. Sometimes it's hard
Right.
with a D, but the heart with a T. We're living a heart life. And the journey then, this curriculum is to make the transition of our loyalty, our way, where we live our life through from the third chakra to the fourth chakra. And our life conspires to give us that opportunity. And oftentimes it is hard with a D because we're making a leap from one paradigm, literally an internal paradigm, to a completely different paradigm. It's what I call the longest 4 inches in the universe between the third chakra and the fourth chakra. So that's just one example. I can speak for myself. That has been my ongoing lesson in this life. And now I look back on my life, right? I'm 71 now. I look back on my life and I say, oh, I see that thing, that test. How'd I do? Usually it's like C plus B minus, you know?
I think you just described, I heard or I read somewhere, you described that as we come into this world as amnesiacs. Isn't that what you said?
Blind amnesiacs.
Amnesiacs. That's what it was.
It sounds like a great name for a band, the Blind Amnesiacs.
The blind amnesiacs. We come in the world as blind amnesiacs, right? And you know, there's a legend. I told you I was raised Jewish. There's the Jewish legend is when a child is born and they're about to be born, you know, the notch below your nose, right? Where they say the angels poke you there and you forget.
Oh.
That's what makes the notch.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right? And you forget. And then the process of spiritual awakening, if you want to call it that, is the process of remembering.
Right.
First, remembering, oh, wait. There's something more. This feeling I've had, this gnawing feeling in my whole life, I'm going to honor it. There's something more. Who am I? Who am I? What is this? What is, you know, that question. Every spiritual path has the same question.
Right.
So we have these stories, right? Right? But every true spiritual path has the same question. Who are you? Who am I? What am I doing here? What's the point?
Yep.
Where
am I going after this? Yeah.
What is goodness? What is the nature of this? Every does. And the process of spirituality, as I'm calling it, is the process of remembering.
So Jonathan, if you were to answer that question, who are we? I know you've described it a little bit already, but who are we?
Who are we? We are each of us, an expression of divine love, a manifestation of that in its many expressions. Each one of us together, and all of us, each one of us individually, and all of us together are actually right? Here's what our religions, we look for God outside. God, where's God? God's going to come, right? Especially the Christian, many of the Christian religions. He's going to show up. He's coming back. Here's the truth. In this world, if he walked in the door and said, yo, it's me, probably he'd be canceled.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Right?
He'd be an extremist.
He'd be an extremist in one way or the other.
Terrorist.
Right? He loves everybody too much,
Right.
or he's not saying it the right way, or
Right.
So then
we together are that, right? If you want to talk, right, we're being truthful here. So in my path, we talk about my path, we talk about the second coming of Christ. The second coming of Christ is not a man or a woman or somebody showing up and is going, yo, it's me. It is that there was a seed planted. That story, right, of that time, 2000 blah, blah, blah years ago, if you take away the ideology and you take away the need to make it history or not, I don't care. I don't care. Is it exactly that way? I don't know. But if you take the essence of it, there was a seed planted that said, death doesn't mean anything. Death is an illusion. The heart is everything. Compassion is necessary, and forgiveness is the way. That's it. And now some people, a few people, especially in this time of the pandemic, when we've had to go inside, many of us, right? Literally, I spent 20 years traveling for 6 months a year teaching. I just went with my wife, as I told you, for our anniversary. We drove 4 hours to a different town for the first time in a year and a half. So what was the opportunity? Go inside, find what's going on. Now, some people didn't, right? Some people drank a lot of alcohol and made themselves crazy. But still, we were forced to go inside and start finding the answers to these questions. I think that's the gift.
And we either found enlightenment or we found pain. And so the reactions that you're seeing from people is indicative of that. Right?
I found both.
Yeah.
I found both. I had to deal with some stuff that I've been putting off. I travel and I'm teaching spiritual things and I'm teaching all these, teaching healers and stuff. Yeah, but there was also some stuff in me that I was like, I think I'll deal with that later. Well, later showed up.
Right. Showed up for everybody.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the lesson, right, Jonathan, is our humanness. So what is it that keeps us separated? We have this humanness. Is it anger, anxiety, fear? People today, just like you said, they were stuck at home, had to go inside, but yet they didn't. They went outside looking for the answer.
And many people did, right? And so that actually, I think what you're saying is, for me, a very important point. My observation, I do the best I can to just look and see without, and I have been a very judgmental person, right? Very judgmental of myself, other people. That's been my lesson, is like, what if I just look and hold the space of compassion and just observe? So here's what I observe. Many, many people are desperately anxious about not knowing. But the truth, my experience of the space of the heart, when I sit in my meditation, when I do what you were guiding us at the beginning, is the space of not knowing, I think, is an accurate assessment of reality. Right? Nobody knows. I don't know. Nobody knows. And I think actually in this time, I don't think anybody knows. I don't think
the knowing of the mystery, I think, is how you would say that knowing that there is a mystery, but you don't have the answer.
That's right. Enter into contact with the mystery, for me, is actually a very comfortable space.
Yeah.
And so that need to, like, somebody's got to be in charge. 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 Oh my God, maybe it's the lizards, I think it's a natural reaction. Unfortunately, then we have social media and we have this amplification of all that, and then blah, 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 blah. So in this moment, what's keeping us separate is the attachment, and based on fear, the attachment to knowing when knowing is not actually possible.
Right. Well, and perhaps that's one part of the purpose that we're here. The reason that we're here is to live without knowing, but to have the faith that it's working in our benefit.
I think that is then, and that actually gives me a chance to say something, because you referred to it at the beginning. I think what you said is absolutely right on, absolutely brilliant, absolutely true. And here's the thing, faith, okay, the perfect example. Faith is not, faith is a vibration. Faith is not an ideology. There's no such, there are religions that can hold the space and can teach us to access faith in us. But faith lives in us. The vibration of faith, literally, I'm going to show you. I'll show you right now. I'm going to turn right here. Literally, this is where faith lives. Right here in front of my heart, in what's called the mental body of my heart. Literally, the vibration of faith lives there, is built into my aura, into my vehicle. And when I access that, that's when I feel faith. That's when if you watch, now I don't know what your connection to this is, but I love the Dalai Lama, right? I think the Dalai Lama is just, to use your phrase, Todd.
He's a groovy dude.
He is a groovy dude. What did he come to Earth to do? Take away whether Buddhism, blah, blah, blah. He came to Earth to hold the space of compassion and faith for the rest of us who waver all the time.
Right.
So if you watch the Dalai, I watched recently, I watched a little clip of him. He got the vaccine, right? And he gave a little rap. And he said in his, I love the way he speaks English. He has this accent. He said, he was saying, please get this shot because it's very good for you. And he's showing this. If you watch his hands, literally watch his hands as he speaks, 100% of the time he's in a prayer position in front of his heart, going from the space of compassion, which is right here, to the space of faith.
Wow.
Stimulating that in us. So what I learned was, because I made a prayer, I was like, I don't want, why does he have to hold this for me all the time? I want to learn to do that for myself. I want to learn to do that for my family and my students and my clients and the people in my community. How do I do that? So I got shown through vibration, through observation, through watching him, through watching other people, literally that compassion lives here in front of my heart, and faith lives the same distance in front there in my heart chakra. So when I have a moment when I waver, I'll do what Todd taught us at the beginning. I stop, I breathe, I access that space. I imagine myself sitting on a dock at the end of my fingers with my feet dangling in the water. And I breathe, and boom, compassion is activated in me. Faith is activated in me. And then my faith gets more. Faith in what? Faith in the mystery. Faith, somebody knows what's going on. It's definitely not me, but somebody does, and they want what's good for me, and somehow this shit is going to work out.
Yeah.
That's, that is such a hard concept for some people to grab. They have this, well, I'll just say it like this. They have this feeling today that they need to be
Breaking up a little bit.
I just got this new puppy. It's all that. And I think people want to be assured they're going to be taken care of.
Well, I think that's part of it, but also I think that we're taught that we have to do, that doing this and doing that makes us successful. Doing this, doing that makes us rich. Doing this, doing that helps us learn. Doing this, doing that. And we've lost sight of that. Sometimes it's the belief that triggers the actual end result. It's not necessarily always the action that we take, right? It's what we like. It's like what you said, Jonathan, when we can connect with what's inside of us and then turn on that center.
That's right.
To some degree. Am I right, or am I totally off?
I think you're 100% right. Those things live in us. Here's the other thing I would say that's even more tricky is we have to do certain things, believe certain things, say certain things to be worthy of receiving, to be a worthy person. What is a worthy person? Right? I think it's one of the trickiest things. Yeah. I mean, it's in the culture in general, but it's one of the trickiest things about religion. Yep. Religion gives you, a profile. You have to do this, say this, believe this, right? Or you're what? It depends on how extreme religion is. Right. You're condemned, you're a sinner, you're excommunicated, you're blah, 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 blah. And so we narrow ourselves into that which narrows us in general from receiving what we could receive, right? It's a catch-22, right?
Yeah.
I narrow myself like this in my throat chakra, because throat chakra has to do with receiving. I narrow my receiving to match somebody's idea of how I'm supposed to be, which means for me to open to receive really what's good for me, I have to let go of that idea that worthiness comes from outside me. Worthiness comes from the fact that I am a child of God.
Yeah.
Boom. Period.
Yeah. So, you know what you remind me of, Jonathan, in your book more than you, is those old encyclopedias where you go into the anatomy section and there were these layers that you would peel off the human body. And there, you'd peel off the skin layer, and then you'd get to the muscle, and then you'd peel off the muscle, and then
I would love to have that in my book. Oh my
yeah.
God.
But that's
would be so
that's
cool.
what all this reminds me of, is that
Yeah.
in your book, it feels like you peel off these layers so that we can actually see more into who we are.
Right.
And so you mentioned, I think it's 5 energy layers.
Yeah.
Do you want to go over what those energy
Sure.
layers are?
Yeah. The most obvious one energy layer is our physical body, right? It just is, but it's the densest one of the many, right? All that is just densified energy. So then on top of that, but also each one, they penetrate each other, is what's called the etheric body. The etheric, I don't know if you ever, the first time I ever saw an etheric body, I was watching a video of the Beatles. And I looked, and around Paul McCartney, there was this white nimbus, this like white light was all around his body. And I thought, wow, that's really cool. I like Paul, and so that's the etheric body. The etheric body, for instance, is acupuncture works in the etheric body. Reiki works in the etheric body, right? Really good massage works through the etheric body, right? So then on top of that is the emotional body. The emotional body expands and contracts. It's how I used to live in Boston, and you could be on in the subway in Boston, literally touching someone because it was rush hour and you weren't touching because the emotional body goes like, but the emotional body expands and contracts. The emotional body has to do with aliveness. So, for instance, when you cry or you laugh like crazy, right? Todd, you get up every morning and you say, okay, it's a groovy day. And then what does that do? That cleans your emotional body and you're more alive, right? On top of that is the mental body. The mental body is the membrane. If we are a cell, the membrane of the cell is the mental body. The mental body is a band. What lives in the mental body is belief. We are defined literally by our beliefs. They can change. They can morph. A lot of illness, most illness, what we call illness that affects the physical body or our emotions, originates in the mental body, originates with belief. Negative belief about ourselves, negative belief about the world, all that kind of thing. Then beyond that is the spiritual bodies. There actually are a number of them. And they connect us to what is transpersonal, to the universe, to what is common, right? Also, and depending on again, how you define it, what I call karma, which means the lessons that you came into this life already pre-programmed to learn, to study, also live in that spiritual body. And those lessons get activated by experience. So all of those is who we are. And what I teach people, one of the first things we do in a workshop is we'll divide people into couples. We're going to go back in October. I'm going to do my first in-person workshop in 2.5 years.
Yay.
And what we do is I put one person against the wall and I put another person about 25 feet behind them. And the person behind them closes their eyes, holds their hand up, and they just walk slowly, breathing. And 2 things happen. One is the person who is against the wall, who is, so you might call the
receiver.
The receiver will say stop, because they feel the person touching the edge of their aura. And the other person stops when they feel themselves, their hand touching the aura. 100% of the time, it's the same moment. And it's
Really?
like, can be like 15 feet behind the person, 12 feet behind the person.
Wow, but they both feel it at the same time.
Same time. Person will say, stop.
Huh.
They'll be like, oh, I just stopped.
Wow.
Because when all we have to do is just tune in, because all these senses are built into us, right? So anyway, that's my Reader's Digest energy anatomy lesson.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
I
that's-
think what you're proving is on another level. Am I stable, Jackie?
So far, yeah.
Yeah. I think what you're proving on another level is that we communicate on some other level. It's a mystery. It's a total mystery, but we do have that ability. And I think if you think about spooky entanglement, that's where the solution really is, because there's some kind of communication on another level in a different channel. And this is what's proving it, Jonathan, is that exercise that you do.
And I think what you're saying is very wise, Todd, also because we do have these connections. I mean, what I seek to prove to people energetically is we are connected. It's a good thing to be sensitive, right? We try to mitigate our sensitivity, or referring to something you said earlier, right? We live in a paradox. We live in allegedly separate bodies. Like I have a body, we're talking to each other, but on a deeper level, we are connected to each other.
Yeah.
And I think
I totally agree.
It's the trying to pretend that we're not that has us in a lot of trouble. I'm just a me, you're just a you. I can do whatever I want, and it has no effect on you. I have friends who, in this moment, who are like this.
Yeah.
I'm just doing what I'm doing. Why should anybody care what I do? Well, because what you do also has ripples, and what you're saying also, we are connected on inner planes. I find that fascinating and totally cool.
Me too. You hit on one of my key words that I wanted to talk about today, and that was faith. But there's two more, and I think they're big, and I think you can give us a good definition on how they work. And another word that I want to know about, Jonathan, is compassion. How does that play? I mean, we see such a huge lack of it in today's society, right? There is no compassion. There's the ability to judge, but yet not understand what your feelings are, what your beliefs are. It's my way or the highway. And it's just, I don't know.
It is. Look, here's what I would say, Todd, that compassion, first of all, I want to make a distinction. I want to make a distinction between compassion and empathy. They're not.
That's my other word.
Cool. Compassion and empathy are connected, but they're not the same. Empathy is what you referred to earlier, or empathy is the ability, inbuilt, to connect with another person and to understand energetically, vibrationally where they're at, so to speak, right? To use the phrase. For me to be able to step, so to speak, step into your shoes. That's it, empathy, right? Compassion is holding the space, totally present, taking the information of empathy, but being in a neutral space so that whatever that person needs to go through to heal themselves, to realize themselves, they can go through held, but I'm not then doing it for them. There are three energies. There's sympathy, empathy, compassion. Sympathy says, I'm going to do it for you. Empathy says, I'm going to do it with you. Compassion says, I'm going to hold the space so you can do it for yourself.
Very cool. I like that. That's pretty cool.
So compassion is the necessity of a healer, of a parent, of a teacher, right? Compassion says, I can't fix anybody, but I know that there's a process of transformation going on. It's built into you. And I can speak to you, I can hold the space, I can hold you if you cry, I can step back if you need space, right? Empathy says, come on, shoulder to shoulder, we're going to do it together. Come on, we can do it. Empathy leads to burnout because people aren't going to do it the way I want them to do it. I wish they would. I would sit in my house and my wife will say, you know, if everybody only did what I told them to do, they'd be much better off.
Yeah.
Of course they don't, right? So and compassion is a universal force. Compassion weaves literally through the whole universe, because compassion comes from the heart of God and holds everything. Empathy is a human energy designed so that we can help each other and be together. But empathy can get tired. Compassion doesn't get tired. There's a thing these days they talk about compassion fatigue. Compassion doesn't get fatigued. It's like saying the sun gets fatigued. The stars get fatigued. Okay, in 50 billion years, sure, maybe. You know?
Mm.
So compassion doesn't get fatigued. Empathy gets fatigued. And so burnout,
Yeah.
that many people have, that therapists have, that nurses have, that doctors have, that parents have, that teachers have, right? Comes from empathy getting tired.
That's a great explanation. Nice job. Thank you.
Yeah. So how does this work in the way that you help people to heal? I can tell you're a great healer. So I'm assuming that you see people that have been through traumatic experiences,
Yeah.
or who have lost touch of their own energy and who they are, and how do you help them? What does a session with you look like?
Actually, that's what you just gave us, a great explanation for the cause of illness. Losing touch with who you are and what you're, right? What you're here for. I do sessions. I do them remotely, like this, like on Zoom or phone. I do them also. I live in the forest. My wife and I live in the forest in Southern Oregon, and I have a space in the forest, you know, an office that I see people in person as well. What does it look like? The first part is we sit together like this, and we end up connecting our hearts. Person tells me what's going on with them in that space. It's a little bit like they have a little like they have a remote, and they turn on videos for me. So a person tells me what's going on with them, and I can see energetically what's going on with them, which chakras involved. Sometimes I get a vision of what that's about, like where did that come from in their life. And we reach a point where that person identifies what I call is their prayer, which is, what do you want? Okay, you have these symptoms, you have it, but underneath, positively, what is growing in you? What's happening positively that is bumping up against a pattern in your energy, in your beliefs, in your emotions, in your life? And that's what your symptom's from. Your symptom is something is trying to happen that's bumping up against a block. What do you want? That sets the stage. Then the work is, let's call light, which is not a metaphor, let's call a vibration, high vibration of universal light, to that place in your aura, in your vehicle, where that knot is hanging you up.
Well,
And that knot is reverberating down on those layers. So as I said, usually it's in the mental body. It reverberates to the emotional body. It reverberates to the etheric body. Now it's reverberating in your physical body, and you're having symptoms. Let's unknot it, get things working in harmony, held by the heart, and then let's see what happens.
you also work with groups, right, Jonathan? You have group workshops.
I have two levels. I do professional workshops like we're talking about. Also, my wife and I are the leaders of a spiritual community where we do group ceremonies also, that works with the same principles, but it's in an explicitly spiritual context. But then I teach as well. I teach people what we're talking about here.
And people can connect with you at essentiallight.org. What will they find there when they go to essentiallight.org?
Lots of good stuff. They're going to find, ranging from a 3-minute video of me just giving a rap like this, to a 10-session course that I did last year, 10-session online course, taking step by step through the principles that I call living through the heart. Because what we do is build an inner structure, a vibrational structure. I call it the 3 groundings: from the ground up, grounded on earth, centered in the heart, receiving light. Grounded on earth, centered in the heart, receiving light. And around that, an internal in vibrational structure that is done through meditation, visualization, exercise, so that healing can happen naturally, so that the space of observation is open, and so that the space of spiritual evolution, spiritual development can happen naturally. So there's what we call transmissions. I have a guide, an energy that comes through me that talks and gives little lectures, and so there's a whole range of things.
It's very cool.
And
It sounds very groovy.
I would say it's pretty groovy. I like it. We work hard on it. We have a very beautiful team of people.
Oh, I bet you have a blast. It sounds like great fun. I'll coin another phrase from somebody famous. Fascinating.
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 Now, Jonathan, there's when we were talking about empathy, sympathy, compassion, and so forth, you, in your book, I think it's in chapter 4, you provide a really interesting example to me, because it's something that I have in my own book, but it's the story of the tsunami in Japan, and how there were people in other parts of the world who were feeling the emotions and the tragic situations that were happening to these people during the tsunami. I wrote about it in my book because of Miki Endo, who was the young woman who climbed up on the tower and announced to people where they could go to for safety. Wow. and who was never heard from again. And so that's why it connected with me. And so you talk a little bit about that these people began to feel a little bit disturbed. Why were they having these dreams that they were drowning? Why were they having these experiences? And it comes back to the way that we're all connected together, right? That all of our energies are part of this unified field of energy and vibration and whatnot, so that when something is happening to someone halfway around the world, we can have a reaction to that. Now, to have that sort of reaction, though, do you need to be living in compassion? Do you need to be in that place of, in a different level of spirituality to be able to feel that? Do you know?
No, I would say that it helps. No, because I think that ability is built in, and it's actually another thing, right? So on the website, essentiallight.org, I did a 2-part session recently, 2-part class on mediumship, because that's what you're describing as a form of mediumship.
Okay.
Mediumship is the inbuilt ability to feel or see, sense, hear energy variations. Mm-hmm. So that ability to feel what was going on in Japan, feel what was going on in other places, is built into somebody. The problem, the challenge is, how do you navigate it? Because it can be overwhelming. And there are people who are. I just came from Portland, Oregon, right, which is where my wife and I went for our anniversary. Many homeless people.
Yeah.
And I'm walking around the streets, and I'm looking, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I have compassion, but also empathy. And I'm seeing people who I know are so sensitive and didn't know how to navigate it, and got overwhelmed by the thoughts and the feelings and as my grandmother would say, the mishigas of the world, and ended up on the street and mentally ill. Many people like this. So the answer to the question is, it's way better to learn the skill, the art of being grounded on earth, centered in the heart, receiving light, because then you own that ability and you know how to use it, and it becomes useful, and it doesn't just become, an overwhelming thing to you.
A cacophony of noise and feelings and energies and things like that.
Yeah, it can be, right? There are people
Yeah.
caught in a cacophony.
Yeah.
Many people nowadays acting it out.
Now I would ask you then, is that a little, does that define mental illness a little bit?
For me, it does.
Yeah.
I've never met somebody who was mentally ill who wasn't also a medium.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh my goodness, my friends. We only have about 2 minutes left. Jonathan, thank you so much for showing up as you today. I hope you'll come back because there is a lot more that we can talk about.
You are an absolute joy to be with. I would love to come back and be with you again.
It's not so much me, it's Jackie's energy, I think.
It was fun. It was really fun.
Oh, you were great fun, my friend. And thank you again for coming on the show. Jackie, any quick takeaways? He was an amazing guest. Pretty
Absolutely.
Cool. I want to keep him. Let's keep him
Yes,
on.
keep it for another hour. No, Jonathan, I just want to thank you. This is all sort of new to me. I'm learning this new aspect of spirituality. It's been a fun journey for me so far, and so I'm looking forward to delving even deeper. And there's so much more left in your book we couldn't even cover today. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you both very, very much. I'm sincerely grateful.
Yeah, Jonathan, you know, some of the vocabulary I heard Jackie say today, it's just blows me away. And it's only been like a couple of years since she's been on the show. So she is learning and growing, and it is really cool to be a part of it.
Questions were excellent, really.
I know. It blew me away. It's pretty cool.
I'm grateful.
That's about all we have time for today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Tune in again next week because Jackie and I have another great guest lined up just for you and your very own life mastery journey. Check out Jonathan's website. And lastly, please make it a great day. It's all about choice. Bye-bye for now.
Bye, everybody.